Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back into the SFS channel. My name's Gavin, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit differently. I've got my Week 4 NFL game picks and predictions, where I'm going to be breaking down this week's 16 NFL matchups and digesting why I think that some teams are going to be winners and why others are going to be losers, looking at the strengths and weaknesses of opponents and stacking those up against one another, and ultimately seeing how that plays out and why I think that those teams will win those certain games or drop those losses to other opponents. So with that being said, drop down and give today's video a like if you enjoy today's video. I want to hear down in the comment section below so I know whether or not to keep making this episode in the future on the channel here. So with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. Let's hit that intro and get straight in to our first pick. Before we get onto the actual NFL Game Picker website that I'm going to be using for today's video, I'm going to take a quick second to talk to those of you who are looking to put some money on the games this week and increase your profitability when betting on sports. OddsJam is a website that compares sports betting odds from over 30 top sports books and helps you find the best value regardless of which side of the line you're betting on in a given sports bet. We're going to head over to the football section on the odds drop-down menu and select the Cincinnati Bengals versus Jacksonville Jaguars matchup that we're going to be breaking down here on OddsJam before moving into the rest of our games. Here you can see all the different modes that OddsJam has for you to pick and choose from for your sports books. We're going to be playing money line today, just picking the straight winners of the game, so that's what we'll be breaking down here. You can see the odds. OddsJam has highlighted in yellow the best books out there for you to bet if you want to place your money on the Bengals or the Jaguars this week. So you can see here, FanDuel has the best odds. If you're a Jags fan hoping for that win, want to put some money on the game, plus 290 odds is going to give you the best bang for your buck here. And if you're a knowledgeable Cincinnati Bengals fan and are going to go with SFS here, going team orange and black for the Bengals, you can go on the score at minus 325. That'll be your best odds to bet the Cincinnati Bengals here in week 4. We're also going to take a quick look at OddsJam's risk-free arbitrage bets for this week. Here you'll see the 6 different sports books that they've got lined up for us to choose from in the Miami Dolphins versus Indianapolis Colts matchup. You can see you've got 2 choices for the Colts at minus 189 odds and plus 190. You've got 4 different choices to choose from for the Miami Dolphins this week. What you're going to want to do here is place an even bet on each side of this line, obviously on those 2 differing sports books. What's going to happen here is OddsJam's done some math behind the scenes for you and figured out that this is an opportunity that with one of those bets winning and the other of those bets losing, the winning bet is going to give you a higher return than the total amount of money that you put into this game. So you're guaranteed, again, it's a risk-free bet, and you're going to be making some return on the investment you made for this matchup. You can sign up for your free OddsJam account today by dropping down and clicking the top link in the description of today's video. You can get your account set up, find yourself some more profitable sports betting opportunities like the ones I've shown you here today, and let's get rolling and make some money this season. All right, everybody, one more time, go check out OddsJam. They use real line discrepancies to find you mathematical ways to be a profitable sports bettor. That's one of the most fun things you can do, so take advantage of that if you have the chance. You heard the pick during the OddsJam segment there, Cincinnati over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just think that for as much struggles that we've seen the Jags have to this point in the season with turning the football over and not being able to protect Trevor Lawrence, I don't mind that the Cincinnati Bengals aren't a top-tier defense because I think that they're still going to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence. I think they're still going to have a couple of turnovers, whether it's a strip sack or an interception here. I think that this is just the better football team. The Jags are not going to be able to stop the run with Joe Mixon on the other side of things. I think Cincinnati, this is something weird to say, but they can play ball control football this week, and they can just wind the clock and play smash mouth football against this Jaguars team. They also just traded away former top 10 pick C.J. Henderson, so that already terrible back end gets a little bit weaker here. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, maybe T. Higgins, a toss-up right now to see if he's going to be healthy and ready to go. There is a lot of weapons in Cincinnati that they're going to be able to take advantage of and use to hang points on the Jaguars. A short week with the rookie quarterback, not a good situation. I'll take the Bengals every time here. Dallas against the Carolina Panthers. So Carolina at Dallas, if we want to be formal here and address that properly. You've got the 3-0 Panthers, one of the remaining undefeated teams, against the hot Cowboys right now. Dallas is currently favored in this matchup. If you're going to bet the spread, I think a sneaky bet this week might be to take Carolina in the points, but no Christian McCaffrey. That plays a big role here. Dallas's defense has been night and day from what it was last season, and this 1-2 punch with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard has been something to behold. The Panthers' D is hot right now. They're young, they're fast, flying around the football, but I got to take the Cowboys here. I think that this is just too dynamic of an offense right now. They're not being overly Dak Prescott dependent, and that's something I think plays very well to their advantage. I think that they'll capitalize on that here in Week 4 and bring the Panthers' undefeated streak to an end. Cleveland at Minnesota here. I think I got to go with the Browns. I mean, you're talking about a Vikings football team that's been very weak on the back end. This Cleveland team, they have a recipe for success, and I don't think there's anything the Vikings can do at this point in time to stop that from happening and stop that from being the case. They are going to run the football. They've got themselves a very, very good 1-2 punch with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and we're even seeing Demetric Felton come in here as a change of pace player and a receiving back and do some damage on his limited touches. So there's too many pieces to this Browns offense. That offensive line is arguably the best in the league. They're going to come out here, do their thing. I think that Kirk Cousins has been playing great football. He's got the longest active streak in the National Football League without throwing an interception. Him, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook hopefully back this week will be a handful for this Browns defense. But this is a hot football team right now coming off a big dominant performance over the Bears. I don't think Minnesota has what it takes right now to make that upset happen. Detroit at Chicago. I'm going to take the Lions, and I apologize to Eric, who works with me here on the SFS channel. He's a Bears fan. I can't do it. After seeing what this offensive line did last week, how poorly they performed, Justin Fields had 1 net yard passing because of how many sacks he took, that being 9. Detroit does not have an elite pass rush. They don't have elite players at nearly any position, arguably, right now. Maybe Penei Sewell is up and coming at that position and has the potential to be that type of a player. But when you're talking about the fundamental errors of offense, of play calling, of just having the inability to win at the line of scrimmage, Dan Campbell has taught this team and coached them to play hard. They have stuck in games and been leading the Packers at halftime 2 weeks ago and led the Baltimore Ravens until the game-winning field goal last week. That is culture. That is above and beyond talent, because this Lions football team has a lack of that. They are not going to go out here and hang points on your head like it's nobody's business, but they at least have an offensive game plan and attack, that being their two-headed run game, TJ Hawkinson in the pass game, try and put Jared Goff in situations to succeed. This Bears defense is not as dominant as it once was. I think if you're going to pick an upset in a straight money line bet this week, you take the Lions, because I think that at the end of the day, what is Matt Nagy doing? He said they're considering Foles, Dalton, and Justin Fields for the starting quarterback job this week. And now I know that 2 of those guys are a little bit dinged up, but really, I mean, this has turned into such a disaster and carousel in Chicago. I can't even begin to defend or explain the just craziness that's been going on there. Houston at Buffalo this week. This is one of the easier ones to predict. I think that this Houston team is also a bit of a surprise and a shocker, kind of like the Lions in terms of how competitive they're being in their losses. They beat the Jags week 1, blew the brakes off of them, to be honest. But Josh Allen and the Bills are too much to handle. You give me 3 receivers who are being productive: Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders. Zach Moss in that run game are getting going a little bit. Devin Singletary's in there as well as a pass catcher. You give me Josh, just the superlative of having an elite quarterback like Josh Allen. Bills all day. Easy one there. That defense is also incredibly well coached with Sean McDermott. Indianapolis at Miami. I'll take the Colts here this week. Did anyone watch Jacoby Brissett running around like a headless chicken last week? How did the Raiders let that game get to overtime? They had him in, 4th and 20 and gave up a first down. Colts, they've been dysfunctional this season. First 0-3 start in the last decade for them. I'm pulling some random facts, some fun facts for you off the top of my head from listening to The Herd over the last week or so. But still, this is relevant information. The Colts need a break here. This is a desperate football team coached by a good head coach who runs a stable ship. The Dolphins are struggling right now. They're not expected to win this game, and they shouldn't be held to that standard without their starter, Tua Tagovailoa. You got to give me the Colts here. Get that run game going. I know that you're missing Quentin Nelson. I know that it hasn't been the best and most easy sailing ship here for Jonathan Taylor to start the season off. Get past this matchup. get that run game going, at least feed the touches that way and get a balanced attack set up here and try and limit the mistakes Carson Wentz makes, because there is a danger here that if Carson puts the ball in danger enough times, this is a playmaking defense and an opportunistic defense that will take that away from you. So he's got to be careful not to get in trouble there. Chiefs at Philadelphia. The Eagles just got stomped on Monday night in a primetime game against the Dallas Cowboys. Chiefs are a good coached football team, great talent all over that offensive field. They're going to bounce back here, get to 500. The Eagles don't really have a chance, if you ask me. They have shown us that they do not know how to play intelligent football. And I mean that not to just be some, guy coming out here and just saying dumb things about teams, but when your first carry was a 24-yard rush by Miles Sanders and then you don't put the football back in his hands and just pass the whole rest of the game, and what's killing you is passing the football and your quarterback throwing awful throws, stop it. Run the ball. Hand it off. Run read option. Do something. Get Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts, your two best rushing playmakers, the football. You see what Kenneth Gainwell was doing as a pass catcher last night? It's mind-boggling how the Eagles have organized their offensive front here, but the Chiefs are by far the better organization, the better team, the better quarterback, the better offense, the better playmakers. Everything across the board here except for the defensive side of the ball leans the way of the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Eagles' defense is nothing that indicates to me that Pat Mahomes can't hang up points on them. Giants at Saints. This is a really interesting one here. I think this one could actually go both ways, and I think that this is a little bit of a coin flip here, and I think that that's not something that people would assume. The Giants have gotten in their own way a lot this season, and they've been in every game that they've played. They haven't been blown out this year. They've been in it till dang near the last play each and every single time. They lost because of the offsides penalty on Dexter Lawrence against the Washington football team. They lost on another game-winning field goal last week against the Falcons. This is a team that's in it. They're just, a few self-imposed errors away from not imploding in these three games and potentially having a much different record. The Saints, on the other hand, have been a different football team every week. Blow the brakes off the Packers, come out and get stomped by the Panthers. Come back out last week, mac and cheese didn't do so hot. He got burnt to the bottom of the pan here by the Saints. Now they're 2-1, looking like a strong start to their season. I'm going to take an upset here. I'm going to take the Giants. I'm going to say a well-coached defensive football team and that really good run stop in that front. Get out here, cause Jameis to make some picks, turn that football over, and if Daniel Jones can just not turn the ball over and give it back and even up that turnover count, you could be in for an upset here. Tennessee at New York, I'm taking the Titans. Nothing that Jets defense can do to stop Derrick Henry. The Jets offense is bad. It's going to get a little bit better this week. And I think that might not be so much of a reflection of the Jets getting better offensively as much as it's going to be the Titans' bad secondary. Hopefully Zach Wilson can get some confidence infused in him here in what should be a good matchup for him and an opportunity to show some improvement and growth. But the Titans are the better roster right now. A.J. Brown in, A.J. Brown out, doesn't matter. Julio and Derrick Henry on their own are enough to take down that Jets team. Really bad start to the season for them. Washington at Atlanta. I'm going to take the football team here. Taylor Heineke played better than you would think for the absolute stomping he took against the Bills. I mean, he had a pretty dang impressive rushing touchdown. That Bills team just has so much firepower. He came out and impressed against the Giants. He'll do the same against the Falcons. This is a secondary that you can take advantage of. And although they got better last week, held the Giants to 14 points, I think that's an anomaly and more of a showing of the incompetencies of the Giants than it is of any steps forward for the Falcons. I think Atlanta's going to take a lot of sacks. Matt Ryan is a statue. Can't evade the rush. Can't get out of pressure. That's what the Washington football team does at least well in the first half. We've seen them kind of fizzle out in the second half lately, but I think Washington takes this one. Arizona at Los Angeles. These are two dang good teams. Only one of them can walk away undefeated. This is the featured matchup of the week. I would be absolutely tuning in and have my eyes all over this game if you can. You get Matt Stafford, who's probably the MVP frontrunner right now, and Kyler Murray, who is probably right there in the top 3 to 5 players as well. These offenses are going to be a fireworks show. And the thing that could happen here is maybe the Arizona offense gets slowed down a little bit. They did have a down week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but that's exactly why I think they're going to step up to the plate here and have a productive game. With that being said, though, the Rams just knocked off the Bucs by more than a score. they look flawless offensively. They look like they are in the driver's seat to be the top team in the NFC this season. I don't know how you stop these guys. Until we see it be done, we don't know what the formula is for success defensively against this Matt Stafford-led Rams offensive attack. They did it last week with the backup running back, who is like their fifth guy in here, Sonny Michel. Obviously, that being when you consider the fact that Henderson was down and you lost Cam Akers in the offseason. So really, okay, Sonny's the third stringer. An exaggeration on my part. But nonetheless, a desperation running back nonetheless. The Rams are winning this football game. I'll take them. I think it'll be... I think if I was going to bet the spread here, and I have to see the numbers, we'll check those out maybe in a later video here this week. But I think that if you give me, I'm gonna take a second and step away from that one because I don't know what the spread is right now, but I think that I would still take the Rams even though they're going to be favored in that one. Seattle at San Francisco. I am absolutely taking the Hawks on the road to get back to 500. San Francisco's back end is so banged up. They're so beat up. I think that this is a really talented football team. This is a great roster. It's a Super Bowl roster. But the Seahawks coming off a bad loss to the Vikings, they're going to bounce back. The 49ers didn't really have a bad loss. They went down and scored a touchdown to get the go-ahead points with 37 seconds left. Aaron Rodgers comes out, does his thing. The rest is history. I think that the Seattle Seahawks are battling a little bit more adversity this week, and they're going to be in a little bit more of a desperate mode because you don't want to head down to 1-3 as opposed to San Fran would just be dropping back to 2-2. So I think you get the strengths of the Seattle Seahawks offensively being that downfield passing game, attacking the weakness of the 49ers, which was already the secondary, and you add in the fact that their secondary is paper thin with no depth. This seems like Russ is going to have his way and be running all around that field. Baltimore at Denver. This is a really, really tough one. I think I got to go with Baltimore for now. Denver, and I don't mean this to knock the Broncos in the 3-0 start that they've had in any way. We've got, 5 undefeated teams left here. The Rams, Cardinals, you see the Raiders there, the Broncos, and then the Panthers. So 5 3-0 teams. I don't mean this to slight what the Broncos have done so far, but it is a fact that their opponents have a combined win-loss record of 0-9. The exact, opposite case scenario of what the Broncos have done here. Baltimore is the more proven team. They knocked off the Chiefs. That's an impressive win despite the fact that they've lost to the Raiders, who are also notably 3-0. The Ravens also were a NFL record field goal away from losing to the Lions. So it's kind of a murky interpretation for me. The Denver defense is lethal. They are going to do a number on Lamar Jackson and probably do as good of a job as anyone has on him this season just because of the personnel and the flexibility they have there. They're also probably not going to let Marquise Brown stream wide open through the secondary like he has been through the first 3 weeks of the season. So I'll take Baltimore. I'm taking a larger sample size of success over that of the Denver Broncos. This could be a very tight football game. I think this might be closer than a field goal when it's all said and done because Teddy can be extremely efficient with this offense. It's bad news that KJ Hamler tore his ACL because now you're down Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. But Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, next man up mentality. They still got Noah Fant and 2 running backs in Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon who can make this offensive train keep chugging along here. I'll take the Ravens, though. That's a tough one of the more interesting games of the week if you want to really get a good feel for two football teams who have had some question marks around them this season. Pittsburgh at my Green Bay Packers. I'll take the Packers. I'll be the homer here. Go, Pack, go. 2-1 over the 1-2 Steelers. I just don't think that this Pittsburgh team is very good. And now that I say that, it's going to come back, bite me in the butt. Pittsburgh's going to rebound, and Big Ben's going to throw 4 touchdown passes. But, man, he looks old. It's terrible. As a typical, this is a fantasy football channel. So what do? I watch offensive pieces and see how they interact and how they coincide with one another and how that ultimately impacts the fantasy situations around them. Big Ben has been a toxic relationship with, the relationship Big Ben has had to his wide receivers has not been beneficial for them. Let's just say that. The depth of targets downfield, the inaccuracy of passes that he throws downfield when he rarely does, has killed fantasy values of players like Chase Claypool, who is one of the few fantasy players who has seen a large amount of targets this year and is still not a top 25 fantasy receiver. He's not allowing his players to be productive because the opportunities he's giving them are not good. This is a Packers secondary that's trending up right now. Eric Stokes took over the number 2 cornerback spot from Kevin King, who was out with injury last week. That position looked a lot better. Jair Alexander is also one of the premier corners in the game. This is a Pittsburgh team without Deontay Johnson last week. We don't know if we're getting him back, and they lost Juju Smith-Schuster about halfway through. So he's expected to be back, but this is still maybe an undermanned Pittsburgh offense coming in here. Your only chance, if you're a Steelers fan, in my opinion, is Najee Harris has to absolutely pound the football and carry this offense, and you got to keep it low scoring. You're going to have to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers, drop him for a lot of sacks, and keep this Green Bay offense at bay and probably under 20 points. That's a tall task to ask for any team in the NFL in today's age. I don't think Pittsburgh has the firepower to get it done, and especially the guy at the quarterback position. If you had any other competent player there, I think it's a different conversation and a different game. Tampa Bay at New England. I have waited since the day we heard this was a game this season. I have been fascinated by seeing this game. I cannot wait for Tom Brady's return to New England to play Belichick in Gillette Stadium. This one, it's probably going to be, it's going to give you the chills. You're going to get goosebumps when Brady runs out there on the field. As someone who has literally been watching Tom Brady since birth, like I literally grew up, this dude's been playing NFL football. I think he's been playing longer than I've been alive, which is insane. So good old Edward Patrick Brady Jr. is going to come out here. I think the Bucs rebound after a loss last week to the LA Rams. Get Bill Belichick. It's kind of a stinger. As someone who, I love Bill Belichick, I think his ads are actually really funny. The good old, what does he do, Subway and some other stuff. He's a pretty funny guy, and I think that he got a bad rap when Tom left. I feel for him. I mean, everything has essentially went against Bill Belichick since the two parted ways. Obviously, when your quarterback wins a Super Bowl with a different coach in his first year in a pandemic, it's not good. And I feel for him because I think he's going to lose the head-to-head matchup here, but I just don't think Mac Jones is ready to beat this caliber of a team. Now, the defense and secondary in particular is a lot weaker and a lot more susceptible to letting up offensive production than we had initially assumed. But, I don't think the Pats have the firepower offensively. Jacoby Myers is nice. Nelson Aguilar is nice. Kendrick Bourne is nice. The tight ends are nice. But none of them are really going to go above and beyond and help when Tom can go out there and score 30 points. I don't think Mac Jones and this offense have the capability of doing so yet. I don't think that the crowd, the nostalgia, the emotion is going to get to Tom either. I don't think that's going to impact this game whatsoever. I think it's going to be two of football's best, two legends going at it here. And I think TB12 gets the upper hand in this one. And then one of the other most entertaining and interesting matchups, the 2-1 Chargers, who knocked off the Chiefs, playing at their home stadium, SoFi Stadium, against the Las Vegas Raiders, an undefeated football team here. Our last pick-up matchup for this week, and then we will head on out of here. But this is a tough call. You give me Justin Herbert. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have been going nuts. Mike Williams, what a breakout it's been for him to start this year off. The targets he's seeing, the production, the touchdowns, it's been fantastic. And then the Raiders, their passing game. I mean, Derek Carr leads the NFL in passing yards. This is craziness to me. I'll take the Chargers in this one at home. I think that's the difference here. I think these are two highly competitive teams. Not all four of these AFC West teams can make the playoffs either. I mean, because you've got they've got an extra wild card slot now, so maybe they all can. You've got your division winner, and then you've got the 7 playoff teams in each conference. So you actually could have all 3 of them make the playoffs. I take back and I stand corrected there. But there's a chance that the Chargers at 2-1, the Chiefs at 1-2, which would be insane, but then the Raiders and the Broncos at 3-0 apiece. One of these teams might not make the playoffs, and these are teams we're looking at right now as some of the best teams in the league. So very entertaining to look at, but Justin Herbert has been insane to start the season off. He looks like another potential MVP front-running candidate. Now I think, again, going back, Matt Stafford's probably your actual leader in that category right now. But Herbert's in the conversation and at least has made his presence felt here with beating Mahomes and walking off and scoring a touchdown to ice that game last week. So I'll take the Chargers in this one. It should be a close game. Again, we'll learn a lot more about both of these teams. I think that I've still got really very real question marks about the Raiders to start this season. So, if it's ugly and certain things happen, we'll know more for next week. But for this week, I'm going Los Angeles. All right, those are my 2021 Week 4 NFL game picks. Let me know. I know that a bunch of you probably think that I'm wrong and that I'm an idiot. So let me know down in the comment section below who you would have taken differently from my games here. Let your passion out. Let your fandom loose. I want to hear it. I want to know all about your team and why you think they're going to prove me wrong this week and go out there and get that win when I told you that they were going to lose, and for that reason, I'm a jerk. So, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, despite the fact that I probably told you your favorite team was going to lose, make sure to click that subscribe button and turn the bell on so you're never late for an episode. Again, this is typically a fantasy football channel. If you're new around here, we post 10 plus fantasy advice videos a week, and this is just something new and fun. I thought I'd toss into the lineup and see how it does here on a Wednesday. So, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Peace out.